So we're going to be taking a tax perspective. We're going to sit for a few more seconds while we see if we can wait for some audience to join us because we're at the top of the hour. So today we are going to keep your cash. We're going to present the simple truths about debt from a tax perspective, of course. Welcome to the Low Income Taxpayer Clinic's Facebook Live, brought to you by Legal Aid of Arkansas. My name is Jennifer Gardiner, and I'm the director of the LITC at Legal Aid of Arkansas. The LITC represents low-income taxpayers in their controversies with the IRS, and we also educate taxpayers in their tax rights and responsibilities. If you have a question at any time during this brief presentation, please submit it in the chat and we will get an answer to you promptly. If you're watching this as a video replay on Facebook itself, on the website, or on YouTube, you can also submit us a question and we will get it almost instantaneously and get back to you. You can give us your phone number or your email address, or we can communicate with you through Facebook. Today, I'm excited to have Mark Foster from Credit Counseling of Arkansas with me and Laurie Wehmeyer from Care Community Tax Clinic. So we always start our presentations with a news flash. What's the latest thing that's going on? And here's what's going on. Right now we're in 2025 and e-filing is open at the IRS. That means you can e-file your tax return, and normally e-filing is ending about right now. But because of the shutdown, it has been extended well into December. So we totally, completely encourage you that if you haven't filed your 2024 income tax return or an earlier year that is eligible for e-filing, please do it, because that is the most secure way to send your tax return to the IRS. You can avoid paper filing, and it's still open. We don't know exactly the date of when it's going to close, but it's going to be in December. We've got a couple more weeks at least. And then also due to the government shutdown, these systems are actually connected. So if they extend the filing season for 2025, it's going to push out the 2026 opening up. But the IRS has not announced the date yet of when the filing season will open. They usually don't until right around the end of the year. We'll be sure to publish that, but you'll be in the middle of collecting your documents anyways, and presumably it will be open sometime in January, but we have seen later openings, so stay tuned on that. Today, our topics involve borrowing. What is a loan? Credit cards are a form of a loan. What kind of fees and interest do you pay when you take out a loan? What is a tax refund loan, a particular type of loan that is made because of your tax return, indicating that you're entitled to a refund? And we're going to talk about volunteer income tax assistance because it's free. So as I said, I have Mark Foster with me from CCOA. CCOA is very busy with debtors right now. Take it away, Mark.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jennifer. It's great to be here and get to share some information with everyone. What is a loan? A loan is just simply getting money that you borrowed it from a lender, maybe a bank or a credit union, with the agreement to pay it back over time. Of course, typically with added interest. There's different types of loans. Good credit will help you to get approved for a loan. Excellent credit will give you the best rates. So keep that in mind. But there's personal loans that people can get. Then there's an automobile loan for a vehicle. You might have student loans. Many people are struggling with that right now. I thought it was expensive when I went to college. Oh my goodness. It was like dollar store prices when I went to college compared to what people are saddled with now with student loans. And then there's mortgages that people can have. And that we like to tell people buying a home and staying in that home are two very different things. So make sure you borrow as much as you can afford, not simply borrow as much as a bank or a credit union will give to you.
We're going to go next slide.
All right, thank you. Credit cards, our position is they're a tool. Now, there are other positions such as Dave Ramsey, avoid it at all costs. Our position is it's a tool, and like any tool, can be used or wisely or it can be misused. Credit cards simply allow you to borrow funds up to a certain limit, and how it works, you can pay back that borrowed amount each month. You have the option to carry a balance on that. Of course, there's interest that you'll have to pay for doing so. I always say the interest rate on a credit card doesn't matter, which usually gets people's attention. And I say, if you pay that card off within that grace period time you're allowed, then they don't hit you with interest.
So
Unlike
one thing, Mark, since we are lawyers, we care about whether loans are secured or not.
Mhm.
And you had these different kinds of loans. And so a credit card is a personal loan, right?
Well, it's, of course, some people might have a business card or something like that, but a credit card is it's debt. You can look at it as a type of loan, but and there's secured and unsecured cards.
Oh,
So the secured card, sometimes we all would like to have an unsecured card. I want to sign here, give me my credit card. For people who maybe they have bad credit or not great credit, or they don't have much of a credit history. And so the creditor is like, I don't know about this guy, if we should take a chance on him or not. So an unsecured card, you'll have to pay like a deposit, whatever that might be, a few $100s or something that they will hold on to in case you should default. And then they have that. So that's the difference between a secured card, unsecured card. Typically, after maybe a year of on-time good payments, companies will switch that secured card over to an unsecured card at that point and say, okay, it's unsecured now, and here's.
and what we should have said is with an auto loan and then a house loan, which is called a mortgage, the security is that thing that
Oh,
you bought.
absolutely, absolutely. And if you don't pay for that car, they'll repossess it and take it away. And with your house, I mean, the house that I live in, I bought many years ago through like a process because it had gone through foreclosure, and so it was like a um, for up for sale, and but the previous occupants lost it. They couldn't pay for it for whatever reason. So and something we've seen with the Marshallese community with regards to buying a car, because it's a completely different financial system than what they're used to, was they might put $1,000 down on a car, and then they think they own that car, and they don't know there's monthly payments after that. So the basics of finance we can kind of take for granted, but we're not born knowing these things. We have to find out these things from opportunities such as today.
Okay.
All right, let's see. On fees, every card is different. The interest rates, the fees, late payments, and things they may charge you, balance transfer fees, and so forth. Always read the fine print. And the interest rate, again, that doesn't matter if you pay it off within that grace period, which many people carry a balance, and so your interest rate will matter in that case. Avoiding fees and high interest. paying off your balance in full every month, that's really a great way to go. Um, and if you have, a lot of people don't know, if you have a card that's like maxed out, but you're not late and you're not over the limit, that actually uh, can hurt your credit score. And people don't know that because FICO Fair Isaac credit scoring says, ooh, you're using almost everything there. That's, what's going on. So that's something to keep in mind. You want to owe as little as possible and pay that down as
And
much.
because because you can, why does your credit score matter?
What is what?
Why does your credit score matter?
Yeah, credit score, especially if you're going to go get, like, let's say a credit card, and you apply for a credit card, you don't typically sit down with the credit card people and have them interview you. Um, what they'll do is they'll pull your credit score and see how credit worthy you are, because that person doesn't want to lose their job if they give so many bad, loans and so forth out to people. That reflects bad. So that company doesn't want to lose money. They want to make sure this person is likely to pay back. So your credit score is a number that you're assigned based on how well you pay, how on time you pay, how much you owe, and so forth. So it impacts a lot of different things in people's lives, and it's good to have a good credit and be wise about that. Some things are easy, and yeah, I can't make a late payment, that'll hurt my score. But other things people don't know, like, oh my goodness, really? If I owe $2,350 on my $2,400 credit limit card, that's going to be a bad thing. So that's one of the surprising things that a lot of people don't know.
So at
Mark,
CCOA, do you help people with with how to arrange their credit or get to a better spot?
Absolutely. For 30 years now, it's our 30th anniversary. Nonprofit CCOA, Credit Counseling of Arkansas, has been helping people to improve their personal finances, achieve financial stability, and optimize their credit. So we're always glad to help people with that.
I have a question, Mark. You keep referring to good credit score and excellent credit score. Can you kind of give us some rough ballparks on, like, I go pull my annual credit this year and it's 500. Is that good, bad, needs work? What is it?
Oh my, we've done whole webinars just on credit scoring, but in a nutshell, the higher your score, the better. There's different models, even within FICO, and it's really up to the individual creditor what they think is an excellent score. Because one will say 800 credit score better, you get the best rates. Someone else might say, well, 780 or better. So it just depends on the company. But basically, the higher your score, the better. So it's always great to focus on paying on time and knocking down that debt. And that's 65% of your credit score. So that really helps to optimize your credit.
I've heard people tell me that when they go to apply for a car loan or a mortgage, that lender will have a hard and fast cutoff. They'll say, because of this, you're not eligible, or because of this, you don't get the better rate, and you have to be above. And they have it on a piece of paper. They know that these are the ranges that their company uses.
Yes, that can definitely, yeah, be the case. And when I walked into a car dealership once a few years ago, and they looked at my credit score, and at that time it was something like 836, and they're like, "Well, right this way. Come take a
Right
look.
this way.
Look at the Lamborghini. Look at the Maserati. Look at the Ferrari." I'm like, no, no, no. Thank
And
you.
you said, and of course your response is, I'm going to pay cash.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Then they take you away from the Lamborghini. All right. We are going to now talk about refund loans. So Mark has talked about getting credit. If you go to have your tax return prepared, some of the big box preparers will make you a loan. Some of the mom and pops, those small establishments will also make you a loan, and they're going to do this because you have brought them evidence for you preparing your tax return, and they do a calculation and they go, gosh, you're entitled to a refund. So we'll give you a loan up front, and then the refund will come back to them to pay back your loan. Legal Aid of Arkansas really doesn't like refund loans because they are messy. Now that's separate from they are costly. Nobody's going to loan you money, maybe your mom, but nobody's going to loan you money without you paying for it. Whether you call it interest or you call it a fee. So they're not very highly regulated, or in our opinion, by the federal government. They're regulated to a certain extent. For example, if you're not a bank, you shouldn't be charging interest. So therefore, the preparers have to go through banks when there are refund loans involved. Once you've introduced this other player, we now have at least 3 players involved when you come to us and say, I have a problem with my tax return. And I say, we don't know what happened to your refund. And they come and they say, well, I filed a return. And we go, now we've got to trace through this maze of what happened. Where did the problem happen? Did it happen at the IRS? Did it happen at the processing? Did it happen at the bank? Or did it happen at the preparer? And we hate these cases because normally all the players point to the IRS, and the IRS says, nope, we did our job. And then you set up this silly arrangement where you got your money up front. And it is very difficult to understand the pricing. But they're not going to do it for free, as I said. We've seen people who come to us and they have paid upwards of $900 to have their tax return prepared. Not interest, just a fee. And the fees came from the fact that they prepared the tax return and they gave you a loan, and they just sort of clump it together and say, it's going to cost you this much money. It is never cheap. I've never seen anyone get a loan where the fees were under $400. And that's $400 of your money. So we know that they market these loans as you get the money earlier. You do get the money earlier, but it's usually only about 3 weeks. And it can be much longer, especially if you had a problem in processing your tax return, but they have no magic for getting your refund. They're giving you money in advance. And we would really like you to go and have your tax return prepared for free. If you can't do it yourself, and when I say do it yourself, on free software that's available online, where you would pay nothing to anybody and you just put in your bank information and the refund comes to your bank account, then we really suggest that you find a volunteer income tax assistance site. And we are very lucky today to have Laurie here to talk about VITA. Take it away, Laurie.
Hello, I'm Laurie Wehmeyer, and I have volunteered as a VITA preparer for 15 years since I retired. I am partnered with an organization called Care Community Center, which is a nonprofit out of Rogers. One of the programs that they sponsor every year is what we call VITA, which is Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. And we also have added a new one this year called Tax Counseling for the Elderly, which is known as TCE. VITA has income limits because the target audience is lower income, disabled, foreign, not people who speak English as their first language. And so it kind of put dampers on what we could and could not assist in preparing returns. So tax counseling for the elderly reaches persons who are over 60 and they don't have the income limit on it. So when you come to us to have a tax return prepared, we make the determination which program best fits you, and we do the tax return for free. We get paperwork filled out by you. We get the tax return prepared. It gets reviewed, and then we close out with you. We electronically file your tax return, and you will get the money refunded to you probably within a couple of weeks, unless you have an extenuating circumstance. Then the IRS may have ways that they put a pause or a delay in getting your refunds out. We do not do the refund anticipation loan because, well, two things. One, we don't need to be partnering with another entity such as a bank to give you that loan. And in our estimation, a couple of weeks is not that much to wait to get your money in your pocket without having to pay any additional fees for doing so. We operate, CARE operates sites in Benton County, Washington County, Madison County, and Carroll County. You have options of in-person return preparation. We also have what's called mobile applications where you can go online and upload your documents, and we can prepare your tax return and close out with you virtually. We also have in Madison and Carroll County, we will be doing what's called drop-off, where you stop in, you get interviewed, fill out the paperwork, get your documents scanned, the return gets prepared, and someone comes back out and closes with you after the return has been prepared. So we try to accommodate as many taxpayers that meet our criteria as possible in those 4 counties. Now the question comes up, well, first of all, every person who volunteers for VITA or TCE has to take a test that is put out by the Internal Revenue Service. We train and we certify that the persons who are preparing your tax returns are capable of preparing accurate and correct tax returns, giving you the best credits and the most refund that you're entitled to. What you need to make sure you bring in is IDs for the primary taxpayers. For instance, if it's a single person, just the one document of your own ID, of state ID. Most likely a driver's license or a passport. If it's a joint tax return, we'll need both spouses to have their IDs. We need Social Security cards for every person who's on the tax return. That would include the primaries, which is husband, wife. It would be for every person, your children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, anyone that you're wanting to claim as a dependent on the tax return. The next thing you need to make sure you bring is all your income items. We'll need your W-2s, your 1099s. If you're self-employed, we'll need a summary of your expenses. Very few people itemize, but if you do, make sure you get a summary of your medical expenses, your property and real estate taxes, your mortgage interest, and your charitable contributions. That way we have that available to determine which is the best way, standard or minimized.
Lori, I can't write that fast.
Okay. That's good, because we have a publication that's going to be included. It's on publication 3676A that you can get from this, that will outline exactly what needs to be brought in. And it's available in both English and Spanish. Is that correct, Jennifer, I believe?
It is. It's all on one page, but it's very fine print because the IRS is trying to make sure that when you come to have your tax return prepared, wherever you have it prepared, that you bring everything. Don't be in a rush, because it's easier to do it right the first time with everything you need. From our standpoint, where we handle tax controversies, the biggest problem is people not including all of their income the first time around, and there are penalties. So you got to do it right. You want to really do it right. You got to remember, what is it that I had to bring? And what we have on this list is last year's tax return. It's always good to look at last year's tax return also as a reminder. What did I have last year? Oh, bank interest. and then you can make sure you bring in your 1099. What do you think complicates your taxpayers, Lori? What problems do they have from bringing their stuff in?
Generally, it's income items that have been omitted or that they think of later down the road. Or as we're looking at last year's tax return, we say, oh, you had this expense or that expense. What about this year? Did you have mileage? If you're self-employed, for instance, and then they have to go back and they say, well, I need to, pull my records. I need to get information. Some of the bigger ones is a lot of the companies now are doing their income items on electronic media. They're sending them via email or text message, or there's a website. Make sure you have all that available so that we can get our hands on it in some form or fashion so that we can accurately prepare your tax return when you come in, and we're not spending time having to go in and research and get that information that you should have brought in or should have at least known where to get it when you came in to have the return prepared. The other thing I want to make sure everybody knows this year is that banking information is required. The IRS is no longer going to be issuing paper refunds. So it's imperative that you get a bank account of some sort where you have a banking account number and a routing number so that we can accurately get the tax refund to you. And that's another whole subject again about who you can use, but make sure that it's regulated by the FDIC, I believe, so that your money's not going to be confiscated and taken from you. We want to let you know that you are welcome to make an appointment for some of our sites, and you can call, and you can call 479-246-0104. That's the CARE number. You can call there, or you can go onto the website and make an appointment at any of the sites where we have appointments. You can pick the date and time that's the best for your situation. Also, if some sites are walk-in only, then that information will be on the website, and you'll know that that's a walk-in site only.
Right. And so we get a lot of contact from people who want to find a VITA site. They're not near you. They would really prefer going in person. You can contact us at the LITC at Legal Aid, and we can find you a VITA site wherever it is. You could call us from Oklahoma. We'll help you find a VITA site. We're so interested that you get help and not be at the mercy of an unregulated, predatory, scandalous, fraudulent tax return preparer. And we've seen a lot of those. So, you might think this friend at work can help you, but they haven't taken a test, and they might mess it up, and they also might take your refund. So we really would like you to go to VITA, and Laurie is a great representation of going to VITA. So Mark, if you have a credit problem or have credit questions, this is your phone number. Where are you located?
We have offices in Bentonville, Fayetteville, and Fort Smith, but we also help people by phone and online.
All over the state.
Yeah.
It's the internet's a great thing because we can share documents and talk on the phone. That's great. So here's how to contact all of the people involved here. Please contact us if you have a problem, just a question, or you truly have a controversy. And we will be back at it again on Facebook Live on December 19th. That's a Friday. And that is going to be on the verge of the filing season. So we're definitely going to talk about getting ready for the upcoming filing season. But whatever you do, plan to go to VITA. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.